Today's sponsors are Angelo's Interiors, specialising in kitchens, bedrooms and bathrooms. Go and visit their showroom today in Gillingham. Their web address is angelosinteriors.com. And De Medici Associates, Chartered Structural and Civil Engineers.
Based in the UK with a worldwide reach.
Visit their website on demediciassociates.com.
Welcome to the Cherrywood podcast.
Where do I stand?
In front of the camera.
Right in front of it?
You can do whatever you want.
Like this?
Yeah, there you go.
John Carlow of Rock Hard Nutrition and Personal Training. And action!
See, for someone that's nervous, he's all right. Right, okay, so we've got a couple of introductions. We've got John Carlow here from Rock Hard Nutrition and Personal Training, and he's a number of other things, fellow bass player. Have some of that for that. Well done. Yeah, good start. Yeah, fellow bass player.
Good start.
Also a games master, which I want to talk about as well.
Oh,
sorry,
excellent.
mate, I'm adjusting. And I've got another stand-in. This is called Rach Backup. Well, Backup Rach. Rach number 2. You all right, Rachel? Are you nervous?
A little bit, yeah. It's the first podcast that I've done, but yeah, it's all right. It's just a chat.
So, obviously, I'm Simon Burridge. My wife is Rachel Burridge. This is Rachel Kerridge. This is the nearest I could get. I don't know. I found her on the street. And I thought, she do. She's near enough. So, Rachel Kerridge, lovely to have you.
Thank you,
We'll be talking to you a bit more because you're a teacher, aren't you? A personal teacher. That doesn't sound right.
I'm a private tutor.
A private tutor. A private tutor. I've gone all American as well. So, yeah, you're a private tutor. But we'll chat with you later on because we're going to have a separate podcast for you if you play your cards, right?
Oh, hopefully, yeah.
Right. But Rachel's here to help interview John. How you doing, mate?
Getting there.
Yeah.
Got here eventually.
Yeah. And sat nav let him down big time.
Yes.
But never mind. So tell us about yourself and about Rock Hard Nutrition.
Oh, right. Oh, where to begin? Where shall I begin, Simon? My name's John Carlow. I was born in Pembury Hospital in 1979.
I had a son that was born in Pembury Hospital.
Was it in 1979?
Don't give me questions like that. 2003. 2001. 2001.
Bit later.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, and so that means I'm one of those feral Gen Xers that they talk about on TikTok. And
I'm a Gen X.
yeah.
You're not, are you? You're a millennial, aren't you?
I'm a millennial, yeah.
One of those filthy millennials.
88?
88, yeah.
88.
Oh.
We're nearly there giving everyone our credit card details, aren't we?
Yeah.
But carry on.
Right. So I have spent most of my life living in Tunbridge in Kent. I moved to Maidstone in 2017 with my partner Michaela, and we live kind of near the centre of the town. I am now a personal trainer. I became a personal trainer I think I started doing it professionally in 2016, and I got the qualification in 2016, and I started doing it full time in 2018. So I did it part time for a while I worked a full time job at the Environment Agency where I was for about 10 years.
Forgot about the environmental agency bit.
Yeah. Well, it's a long and twisted tale. So, I was at the Environment Agency for 10 years. Before that, I've done all sorts of things. So I'll get to the PT bit in a minute. But I didn't do very well at school. I went to the Skin School in Tunbridge Wells. So up until the end of primary school, I was doing all right. Now, this feeds into something that will come up later on.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to the Skin School in Tunbridge Wells, and I was quite bright, but also quite lazy. And so I managed to pretty much coast all the way through school until I started my A-levels, and then I kind of dropped out because I couldn't keep up, because actually for A-levels you actually have to do some work. And
typical boy, isn't it?
Yeah. You needed a good tutor. That's what you
I needed a good tutor. Well, I mean,
It's not your time yet.
but I dropped out of Skinner School in the upper sixth, and then I thought, I need to have another go at this. So I went to West Kent College and failed my A levels again due to extreme not studying. And I didn't really know why this was. I kind of wanted to be a good student, but wasn't. I kind of started my career of work. Then I did various temp jobs.
Let me stop you there.
Yeah, of course.
How long do you reckon? Sorry, I've just remembered the sign.
Oh,
I'm
yes,
so sorry,
usually
John. And
ask
I am
this
interested
question.
in what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
How long do you reckon before that falls off?
I don't know. 23 minutes. That's what I think.
Right,
Oh,
okay,
that's
started
very
from
accurate.
now 23 minutes. Sorry, John. Carry on.
Yes, I started doing various temp jobs, retail jobs, did a couple of office jobs. Eventually, I became a bar manager, which was an exciting time of my life. I spent about 5 years as bar manager.
Where?
Kind of went, in Tunbridge. I went in kind of on the shop floor just as a part-time barman.
I used to live in Hadlow, so whereabouts in Tunbridge do you?
Well, the first pub I worked in was the Station House, which is right by Tunbridge Station. And
Yeah.
I worked there for a bit part-time, and then the owner of that pub owned several other pubs in the town. He doesn't own pubs anymore. He does something else now. But he also owned the Punch and Judy, which is behind the police station.
Right.
And he
I know
also
where that
owned
is.
the Ivy House at the top of the high street.
I quite like Tunbridge.
Yeah,
I like
I
it.
liked it. I just couldn't afford to live there.
Oh, right, fair enough. Yeah.
But yes, so I ended up working full-time in the Punch and Judy under the owner of this small bar group. And after not very long, I ended up going back to the Station House as the manager. So I think I was in the Punch and Judy for a while, learning how to keep the cellar and all that sort of thing. Then I became the manager of the Station House. I was there for about a year. Then I managed the Ivy House for about a year, and then I came back and managed the Station House. And at that time, I had keys to all 3 pubs, so I was kind of like the general manager. And the pay was terrible. Most of my money went back over the bar. And I'm surprised my liver didn't crawl up my throat and slap me. But it was, fun times.
It's a familiar story for me, actually, because I think quite a lot of people end up working in a bar. They don't really know what to do, and then you get sucked into it. But I feel like it did actually give me a lot of transferable skills. It taught me so much about life and people, because you meet so many different people.
Well, you met,
And drinking.
you met Rachel in a bar, didn't you?
Yeah,
You
I
were
did
working
actually.
with Rachel, didn't you, in a bar? Yeah, a long time, way before my time.
But it's it's good. It's good fun. But I think it's a young man's game, really. It's quite a short career path as well, because unless you're going to buy a pub of your own, once you've become a manager of someone
Very
else's bar, that's it.
unsociable hours as
Yeah,
well.
so
You've got
just
to
bus all day, isn't it?
buy into the lifestyle, don't you?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, your social life's pretty much your job at the same time.
yeah,
Because,
the people you work with, the people you serve, they become your
and
buddies.
it's fun, but I couldn't do it again. Not now, but so I did that for a while, and then I had a big falling out with the manager, and just ended up walking out one day. No one really kind of gives notice or anything like that in the bar business. And I think, like, the night after I left, I don't think the doors ever opened again under that under that ownership. But after that, I kind of fell completely by accident into a job at the Environment Agency, because one of my regular barflies in the Ivy House, who I got to be quite good friends with, he worked at the Environment Agency. He said, "Look, we've got this temp project going. You're wasting your life in here." And it took me a very long time to come around to the idea, and the fact that I'd actually left my job to kind of give it a go. But I kind of went there as a temp. I was a temp on a temporary project officer for like 9 months or something like that. And then towards the end of the year, because normally you don't stay as a temp. Then you didn't stay as a temp for more than a year, because if you stayed for a year, they'd have to give you kind of more employment rights or something. So they have to kind of unemploy you and re-employ you if they want to keep you. But there was a job. I applied for this job. This is normally like a job that you would normally have a degree for, but I had relevant experience because I've been a project officer for a year, and I got the job. And no one was more surprised than me.
Goes like that sometimes, doesn't it? Yeah.
And I was there for about just coming up for 11 years, I think. But one thing that happens a lot in government agencies, you have change projects. So all big companies are subject to kind of internal politics and all that sort of thing. So you have, whenever there's a new area manager come in, you have change projects. They want to kind of put their stamp on things and make things more efficient and move things around. So I survived my first change project, which was merging 2 regions, and then I survived a second change project, which was taking my function and making it into a national function. So I became part of a virtual national team, and I thought, I'm never going to survive another one of these.
That's the spirit.
Because it's
nothing like a bit of confidence.
It's incredibly stressful, and despite the fact that the management of government bodies like to be seen as good communicators and looking after their staff and that sort of thing, it really wasn't. All the emails were like, "We're committed to telling you everything," and then they wouldn't tell you anything. Yeah. So I was there.
They're all the same.
Yeah,
They're all the same.
And so I became part of this big group. Wasn't really very happy, and I thought to myself, if there's another change project, I'm never going to survive. What would I do if I could do anything I wanted to do? And I thought, well, at the time, I was very much into karate and fitness training. And I was like, well, what would be the best thing that I could do if I got made redundant and they gave me, a few £1,000? What would I do with it? So I thought, I will train as a personal trainer, because I spent a lot of time in the gym, a lot of time doing fitness-related activities. I thought it'd be good if I could monetize my interest.
Yeah.
And I had the idea at the time that maybe there was a bit of a niche that I could fit into, because I am very much into rock and metal and bands and festivals and all that sort of thing. And I thought, who has a more unhealthy lifestyle than a rock band, So maybe I can become a personal trainer and specialize in touring with bands.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
It seemed like a good idea at the time. And at the time, I thought, I'm going to call my business Rock Hard Bodies, because it's going to be very much kind of tying into musical things. And I really annoyed my boss at the Environment Agency by saying, "Hey, mate, can I take my entire annual leave entitlement in one go, please?" and he was like, he wasn't very happy about it. And eventually he agreed. So I took 6 weeks off in one go. And went off and did an intensive diploma in fitness instruction and personal training. So
now I have a question about that.
Go on.
Do you have to display how fit you are when you're doing that, or is it just techniques for people that you're going to be instructing?
Luckily, you don't. Luckily, you don't. They don't do a fitness test on you. Before I went, I was quite worried because I was not in the best shape of my life. And I wasn't as young as I expected a lot of the people there to be. And when I turned up on the first day, the first few people came in were kind of, young lads who must only have been 18 or 19. And I was like, oh dear, I'm going to be the granddad here. But as it turned out, I was by no means the oldest or the fattest in the room. So that actually made me feel a lot better. And I had actually tried to learn as much as I could about anatomy and things from, fitness instruction before I went, and no one else had really done that. So actually I found getting the qualification relatively easy, but I don't know, I suppose I'm probably more academically inclined than a lot of the people who might seek to become fitness professionals. So the the stuff on paper, I did not. The theory work I found quite easy. I think the hardest day, because we did a unit in circuit classes, and there were like 20 or 30 of us, and they split us into like 3 groups, and each one of us had to do a circuit class for everyone else, which meant that you had to do like 6 40-minute circuit classes back to back. And the next day, I was a bit sore. But yes, I got my qualification, and not long afterwards, I started training kind of people that I knew. So, and a friend of mine, Bridget, who probably won't see this, but if she does, hey, Bridget.
Hello, Bridget.
Bridget Nielsen, he's talking about.
She was my first PT client, and I trained her for a while. She is a woman in her, she was a woman in her 50s, mid to late 50s, I think. And we trained twice a week for quite a long time, like 3 months, half a year. And, really, she absolutely loved it. She lost weight. She got a lot fitter and healthier. And, it was really nice. So, but yeah, there are obviously others afterwards, but, the first one stays with you.
What you said, I just want to take you back to what you were saying about when you walked in the room and you thought, oh no, there's lots of sort of, typical gym buddies. I think with personal trainer, people want to have that personal connection with them. And actually, we're all different shapes and sizes. I think I would feel quite intimidated if I went to personal trainer and they were an 18-year-old, 19-year-old guy. That probably wouldn't be my choice. So I think it's really good that actually there are people of different shapes, sizes, ages, different career backgrounds as well, just so that you can make that connection with people.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say this because it's, a lot of the people who I have trained, and I sort of, I'll come to that, but a lot of the people I've trained said we were very glad that you weren't we would have been intimidated if you had a six pack and, were like 18 years old and
I'm sure
blemish free and shining. And, it's well insulated.
It's there somewhere. It's coming there.
It's coming. By the end of the year, visible six pack. You heard it here. But yes, so I think there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, I have used personal trainers myself while I was training to get my karate black belt, and I kind of found taking advice from people who were probably less than half my age, who had probably only just left school, and were probably in good shape more because life hadn't had a chance to,
we all know how that
suck
feels.
the life out of you and kind of, because it's balancing your career and your family and your own personal health. We always tend to neglect ourselves and give more to our careers and our families. And, I think it's a terrible thing, really, how self-care is kind of vilified and people are not very into looking after themselves. In fact, in a way, people are quite the opposite. There's this kind of mindset where it's like there's some sort of virtue in working yourself half to death and doing unpaid overtime and all that sort of thing. And I've always thought that was madness. So, this whole kind of conscious quitting movement, it shouldn't be called the conscious quitting movement.
No.
It should be called the work-life balance movement or the I'm not going to flog myself to death movement. If you are contracted to do a job, that doing it should be enough. But, anyway, sorry, I digress.
No, that's. I'm glad you said that. I mean, you've made me digress now, but I was just thinking, how self-care kind of motion. I think it sort of goes one way or the other. You've got people where it seems, all they do is take, bubble baths and go for walks. So they feel a bit fluffy wuffy and you think, I can't fit that into my busy schedule. And then, like you say, you've got the other side of just flogging yourself to death, not being able to say no to anything. But actually the truth is, it is exactly as you said, it's about the balance. We can't sit in a bubble bath all day or do the things that we want to do all of the time, but it is that balance and that holistic side. You can't just do one thing without the other. You have got to straighten out your diet, get the exercise and just have that all-round balance. And I'm not a personal trainer, but...
There's also people that are afraid to go to gyms, especially gyms, because I know, John, I listen to you, we're in the same network and I listen to you every week, saying the judging eyes of, other people. And some people that does affect. Doesn't personally affect me. I don't care who looks at me.
Well,
absolutely. I just walk into the gym naked. So, but it does affect people. And what I like about your setup is it's literally 1-on-1, maybe 4-on-1. Would you say maximum?
Oh well, 2-on-1 for me because it is yes, it would be a bit cozy with more than 3 people in there.
Like the idea of 2-on-1, Rach? You've got a one-track mind. I'm on about physical stuff. Sorry, John. Sorry about her.
So allow me to elucidate on what you just said, Simon. So yes, the high street gym in this current day and age, there are two things that it doesn't do very well. One is you have the kind of people who I particularly like to appeal to. So the kind of people who are not very interested in fitness, don't really know anything about fitness, and are probably ashamed of their own physical condition. So they might also be possibly neurodivergent. So they might be ASD or ADHD or something like that. So people like that are going to find the high street gym a bit intimidating. So it's going to have bright lights, loud music, noisy machines, a lot of people who look like they know exactly what they're doing. And all of those things are very, very alienating if you haven't got a clue what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So you walk into your high street gym and you're like, wow, everyone here knows what they're doing. I haven't got a clue. And a gym with a thriving membership, I mean, you'll go in there and it'll be busy all the time, but they'll probably 80% of their membership will never set in the door, because I think that's how gyms make so much money, because they make more money out of people who don't go than people who do go. But that's beside the point. But yes, the people, the fitness instructors there, they might spend half an hour, 45 minutes with you to give you a basic program to start off with, and then leave you to get on with it. And that isn't going to impart a lot of knowledge, and it's going to be really hard work. And a lot of people do not last very long under those conditions. So they join the great majority of gym goers who have a membership and don't go. And people like that really need some help. The other kind of high street gym, that's a high street gym with employed fitness instructors. So that's the best kind. The worst kind, and I probably shouldn't name any names, but the budget high street gyms are staffed by self-employed personal trainers who pay floor rent by doing inductions. Those people don't make any money at all unless they can sell PT. So in some gyms, they're sailing about like sharks, looking for people to try and sell PT to.
I didn't know that.
I never knew that.
No.
I never knew that.
I mean, some of those are obviously very good trainers, but they have to make some money, and so they have to sell PT. I think that model is unethical, because it means that you've got people running the gym for free. So, I mean, the first job interview I went to work in a gym, they said, we're going to pay you minimum wage for the first 6 months. And I was like, oh, what will the pay be after that? There won't be any. You'll pay us. And I was just like, are you joking? This is ridiculous. Yeah. So at that point, I just thought, well, I don't think I'm ever going to work in a high street gym.
Now, I belong to a large high street gym. We just passed it when I was getting it. And to be honest, I'm quite happy with the gym there. Like I say, I don't have any nerves of going into a gym. And there's a lot of, I don't want to mention their name because I don't want to drop them in it, but there's a lot of PT people in there. And I feel that they must be getting a wage because they're not doing the shark thing. Well, so I'm not 100% sure if that gym is doing that, but I'll tell you about the gym after this podcast. And you can tell me if you know if it's the one that.
Well, I mean, there's at least a couple of budget gyms that they don't employ any. They employ a manager, but they don't employ any floor staff at all. They're all self-employed. So I mean, I don't particularly like either of those things. I mean, I used to go to a gym that I really loved in Tunbridge. It is now a budget gym because it went into administration and was bought by one of these budget gyms, which shall remain nameless.
There's one gym I know of in Tunbridge. It's just off the high street.
Yeah, so you get just around the corner from the station.
You're heading up towards the station, and you turn right immediately, just before the park entrance, and it's there.
Yeah, if you're coming from the other end of town, that,
I know the one. Yeah.
But I went in there for years. I absolutely loved that gym, and that was when it was a proper staffed gym. And I used to go to the classes there, and I used to go in there like 4 or 5 times a week, and it was it was really nice. Really enjoyed it.
It was the first modern-looking gym I've ever experienced. I think walking past it, I never went in it. Walked past it.
But it was really nice. And I mean, now someone who knows what they're doing in a gym can gyms like that are going to work very well for people who've got the knowledge.
The beginners, that's the problem.
The beginners are they're probably not going to do very well in a place like that.
I feel like I've got so many questions. I definitely want to go back to the karate thing at some point.
Oh, we've got
while you're talking about the gym,
we barely touched the surface with this bloke. We might have to have him in twice.
While we're talking about the gym, so you were just describing there how yours is different in some ways to the high street gym, or probably in many ways. But you were saying there about how many people you come in, how many people you get in at a time, and you say like two people will come and see you at one time or one-on-one. What else makes your gym different? Is the environment different?
Well, I work from home.
Okay.
And my private studio is in my loft conversion. Excuse me, I'm just going to clear my throat. Not into the mic.
Well done. Everyone does it in the mic usually.
But yes, so my loft conversion is a PT studio.
Okay.
I have got free weights and various bits of equipment in there. I don't have cardio machines or anything like that, but it is just about the right size for one-to-one or couples PT. So I have had couples come, especially if they were kind of in the run-up to their wedding or something.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I've also, it's funny, some couples love to train together. Others are like, oh, no, I don't want him watching me sweat. It's like, oh, okay.
And you're about to get married? Yeah, that's the least of your worries.
But the good thing about that is that the atmosphere is, it's a...
Sorry about my phone. It could be Rachel telling me she's really ill. So carry on.
Right.
She's right there.
Not backup Rachel, real Rachel.
Real Rachel.
My Rachel.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Fine.
John, carry on.
I know. Come on, brain. Where were we? So the nice thing about that is that we can control the sound, the light level, everything. So I've got a dimmer switch in there.
Yeah.
Or we can play whatever music you like, as long as it's not gospel. I joke, I have played gospel in there for one person who came in and wanted gospel. I had to grit my teeth a little bit because I kind of prefer a bit of rock and metal, but
you went with the client and what they wanted, yeah.
But because it's that kind of less intimidating environment, you can take your time with people and help to introduce them to fitness a bit more gently, and try to educate as well as, it's not just about beasting people and making them throw heavy weights around. It's kind of about, making sure that you understand what you're trying to achieve, why you're doing what you're doing, how it works, what people need to do outside of sessions to get their best possible results. Because, when it comes to training, it's kind of like 80-20, 20% of it is fitness training, 80% of it is nutrition. So it takes a long time for people to get that, I think. I think a lot of people are like, I'm going to drink beer and eat pizza, but I'll train a lot. Yeah. And it's like, the math doesn't add up.
We'll book our PT session, that's it, we're done for the week. Yeah.
But it's good in that, you can kind of try to educate people a bit. I like the idea that people, you don't have to be my client forever if you don't want to be. If you come to me for 3 or 4 months, I can tell you what you need to be doing, and you can take that knowledge elsewhere if you want to. And but the nice thing is that if people are comfortable and they're happy, then they stay. And it's lovely to have some long-term clients, because you can really watch their goals progress over years instead of over just a few months.
I think the benefit of having a personal trainer is you've got someone that is going to be looking at your progress.
Yeah, it's like being held to account, isn't it?
Yeah, you're held accountable for your progress. And that's why I've got you in, John. Because I'm 50 this year, and yes, I go to the gym and stuff, but I'm all over the place with my nutrition. I go carb free, which is very successful, but it's not something you can maintain really, not and have a fun life.
Brave man.
Yeah, and it works for me. Carb free does work for me, but the more I go back to carb free, the worse I get at it. You know, I've got no one to look at me and say, well, you know, no, I've got no one, like you say, no one to be accountable for. I mean, that wrong way round, but you know what I mean.
Having an accountability partner for your goals makes an enormous difference. Yeah. It makes it easier to get some motivation, gives you someone to bounce ideas off. I mean, I've done low carb and had it work for me, but it usually only works the first time.
Right, that's where I'm going wrong.
There's no physiological reason for that. It's purely psychological. It's the same with any fad diet. If you are invested in it and you really believe it, and you are at that time in your life really committed to your training, it works, but not because you are doing low carb. It works because you are focused and invested.
And I think that's the problem with me. I'm not invested in it, if I'm honest. I'm not invested in it. I've used Rachel being ill, other Rachel number one.
Rachel.
Being ill as an excuse to, don't worry about that for now. Just concentrate on Rachel, you know. So yeah, I need your help till August.
Absolutely.
And we can monitor it and we can get you back or something before August.
Well, that'd be great. Well, I mean, if you can come for a weigh-in or something, I can get you on my biometric scales.
We'll do it.
They electrocute you. It doesn't hurt.
I'm happy at my current gym. It's right next to the studio. Let's be honest. So for me, and you're Maidstone, aren't you?
Yeah.
And we're Rochester, Strood area. So, but nutrition-wise, if you could be my nutritionist and advisor,
absolutely.
Let's do it.
How did the nutrition thing come about? I'm guessing that you wouldn't have done that as part of your PT course. That was a separate thing.
No. So initially, I did the level 2 and 3 qualification, which is fitness instruction and personal training. And I thought, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do for level 4? So I signed up to do a nutrition course, and that was a distance learning course, which I did with Future Fit Training, who are a training provider. And I picked that one particularly because that one allows me to put letters after my name. So having a level 4 diploma in nutrition allows me to call myself John Carlow, MRSPH, sorry, which is the member of the Royal Society for Public Health.
Mr.
It's not on there.
Mr.
To add the letters on.
Yeah, I'll write it on there.
Yes, I did that. It took me about a year to do it. You kind of do it through their training portal, and then you have coursework that you have to submit and that sort of thing. And thank you. Yes, I was doing that during lockdown. So I was quite lucky in a way because it was the fact that I had a lockdown and couldn't see any clients face to face that kind of made me focus on finishing the course, because otherwise it would probably have taken me more than a year.
Yeah.
They said to me, you could do it in like half a year, 9 months if you really focus, but most people take about a year. And I was like, I'll do it in 3. And then 6 months later, I hadn't even started it. So, but I did kind of focus on that a bit more during lockdown. Yes, as I said, I got my qualification, started doing PT full-time 2018, I think, like March, April 2018. So, and then not long after that, I couldn't train people face-to-face anymore, so that was a bit of a shock. That's how my third career path came out, actually. But where were we? I've completely lost my thread.
You were just saying that the course, you were able to do the course because of the lockdown. You had time to really embark on it.
And I mean, nutrition is incredibly important. I mean, I didn't mention this before, but I have Crohn's disease, which is a inflammatory bowel disease. So that affects your intestines, and it can make you really, really ill. I am incredibly lucky. There it is.
There we go.
Ooh, how many minutes
25,
is that?
I reckon. Well after 25.
Well after
I'll have to check it.
We all glance up at that clock, but that clock has absolutely nothing to do with the time.
Oh, does it not?
It's just what's on the calendar. Everyone does that. They all, well, how long? I have no idea. We'll work it out later. But go on. Let's put you off, innit?
A little bit. Right, Crohn's disease. Yes, I'm incredibly lucky in that I have a medication kind of regime that actually works, and I am more or less able to have a normal life. A lot of people with Crohn's disease are debilitated, cannot work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that being a disabled personal trainer kind of gives me a bit more empathy when it comes to other disabled, potentially disabled clients and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But nutrition is incredibly important if you have that kind of problem. So, and it's also incredibly important for exercise generally. So, I mean, the best results you get are from kind of attacking it from both sides. You know, you have to have the training and the nutrition. But in reality, the nutrition is probably more important. Abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. So I wanted to be able to offer...
That is a good quote.
Yeah. I wish I had thought of it, but yes, I wanted to be able to give a more of a holistic sort of service. So not sure what else I'm going to try and add to it. I was thinking about yoga or Pilates maybe, but that feels a bit disingenuous because I've never been to a Pilates class. So.
Have you heard of Diamond Dallas Page? He's a wrestler. He used to be an American wrestler.
It rings a bell.
And he's got this yoga called DDP yoga. Have a look at that. That's more an intensive style yoga, and it's really good. He's got heart monitors on people, so he knows that their heart rate is actually
high enough.
Enough. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's really worth a look. You'll be able to find some bits on YouTube.
I'll try and remember that. Maybe. Yeah.
Very good. It's literally yoga, but it's not yoga. You know. So he has American footballers now. You know.
That's mad.
Cool. Yeah. Ex-wrestlers or wrestlers that are still going and they've been in pain for years. He even had a guy that was crippled. He couldn't walk, and he was in the army years ago, and he just basically couldn't walk, who decided to do it, and now he's running.
Wow.
The guy's running, and it's just based on yoga. Intensive sort of yoga. Well worth a look. There might be something similar like that you want to look into.
That's interesting. Yeah. Because well, there's so many different kinds of yoga. I mean, I've tried a couple. One of them is Hatha yoga, which is very common.
Yeah,
and that is kind of that's the one with the corpse pose and the crane pose or whatever it is, and all that sort of thing. So that's the one a lot of people recognise. There's a Chinese form of yoga called Teng, which is you hold a lot more tension in your body while you're doing it.
That's exactly what he does. Yeah. You're literally grip, you're straining it all the time. You're keeping your butt cheeks tight and butt cheeks. But it's really good. But his slogan is "This ain't your mama's yoga." Yeah.
Okay.
But it is good. I have done that for a while.
That sounds quite fun.
And it's good. It's good. And this is a 60-year-old man that just gets his leg and puts it to the side of him, you know. And he was wrestling for years, and he done a lot of damage to himself, as they do. And, well worth a look.
Excellent. Okay.
Brilliant.
I was just going to ask about the karate now, if that's all right.
Okay.
So do you still do karate? Do you teach karate, or is that
something
that you do for yourself? If you like?
Yes to all the above. Karate, I think karate saved my life. I think the reason I am sitting here talking to you is because I have karate in my life. I started doing karate probably in my early 20s-ish. My first martial arts class was actually, I went with a friend of mine who was a guitarist of a band I was in. That was Tang Soo Dao, which is a Korean form of karate.
Okay.
And it is basically karate just with slight regional variations. I went to a few classes of that. I got a yellow belt, and then I got a yellow belt with an orange tag. It all seemed very commercialized. It's what people into more traditional karate tend to call a muk dojo.
Right.
And so, everything's expensive. Everything has branding on it. Everything's premium. Well, everything's expensive, but at the same time, everything's cheap. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. They're just trying to I think sometimes when they're trying to get things to the masses, unfortunately, that tends to happen, doesn't it?
And it was, it was a big organisation. I imagine it's probably still going. I won't name them either. I don't know if they're particularly litigious, but they are. I would describe them as a muck dojo. And I met my sensei, Sensei Rob. Hey, Sensei Rob, if you happen to see this. And he started. We met him in the pub, I think, and he used to work as a fitness instructor and personal trainer in my favourite gym, the only gym I really went to in Tunbridge. And we got talking to him, me and other friends of mine got talking to him in the gym, and he eventually said to us, "Oh yeah, I'm a black belt in karate." So, really?
Is black belt the top?
No.
No.
Not quite. Well,
but
there's more to it.
He can't quite catch a fly with chopsticks.
Okay.
So Rob told us that he had got his black belt in 1979.
All right.
And he'd got it when he was a kid, basically, and he had carried on doing karate for years. So he went to university in America, in what's the Mormon state? I can't remember.
Ohio?
Might have been. Or was it? I can't remember exactly, but he said it was a dry state, which helped him with his studies.
Okay.
But he carried on doing karate in America, and he's got tons of awards. He's actually a very very accomplished martial artist. But he'd only ever got a black belt. I don't think he'd done a great deal of teaching. But eventually he was persuaded to teach us some karate. So I was the only one out of our group of friends that ended up kind of in this club that had done any martial arts before, I think, or one of a very few. To start with, I think I was the only one.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going around in circles. But yes, he taught us some karate. So it was Saturday or Sunday morning. We used to turn up with terrible hangovers and do karate. And over the course of many years, people came and went, but I stayed. So slight segue. I think that once you hit probably about the age of 18, maybe a bit older, but you start life with structure, metrics of achievement. When you go to school, they grade you, they give you work to do.
Yeah.
They support you. You go through this kind of academic career. Whether you go to university or not, you've got this.
There you go. That's what happens.
Suddenly, you're out in the world, and all of that structure disappears, and there is not very much to celebrate, really. So someone like me, who I didn't realise at the time how much I needed that structure.
Need a Scooby snack every now and
then. But out in the world, I think I was kind of floundering. Couldn't find a job I really wanted to do. Drank far too much. And I just didn't. It was like, go to work, hate job, take home money, go to pub, repeat.
Money.
and then karate actually gave me a bit of discipline, gave me an interest in fitness. It gave me goals to achieve. So, I absolutely loved it. I'm not a natural at karate. In fact, if you took all our belts away and made a load of black belts do karate in a room, people would say, "Oh, he must be a green belt," because I'm not a talented martial artist. I'm just a martial artist who didn't stop, and that's what all black belts are, really.
You're third Dan now, aren't you?
I'm a third Dan. Yeah.
Can you explain the Dans to me? Is it just because you run out of colours?
Well,
can you be like a green belt third Dan? You can't, can you? It's black belt and then it goes into Dan's afterwards, doesn't it?
That's right. I mean, my karate style, I can't speak for all of them, but they all follow a similar progression. You start with what are called Q grades, and usually you come in as white. So you have white, yellow, orange, green, blue, purple. Some styles don't have purple.
Right, okay.
And then you have a number of brown belts. Some styles have 2, ours has 3. So you go through 3 gradings as a brown belt. sometimes you get a stripe on your belt or something, but that's kind of stuff's not necessary. But if you're in a McDojo, they charge you 30 quid for a brown belt with an extra stripe on it. But that's the difference there. I think I wore the same belt.
Sorry, I just realised the McDojo.
Have you only just got that? Like McDonald's style?
Because I thought it was some like Japanese word or something.
No, franchisee sort of.
Mock dojo. I got it now.
Well done. Very
Can you cut that bit out?
No, that bit is not being cut out. That's
Sorry, carry on.
How long was it? He said that a good half hour ago, Dojo.
I've got it now.
Well done. You're fitting in for Rach perfectly.
White, yellow, orange, green, blue, purple, brown, black. So black, first Dan. Black in...
He's not talking about previous relationships for people that have just...
but yeah, first Dan. Now, black represents perfection in Japanese culture. So some schools will only ever give you a dark blue belt. For example, the first style I ever studied, which was Tang Soo Dao, their black belts don't wear black belts. They wear dark blue belts because their philosophy is that perfection is not achievable within a human lifetime. I quite like that. But black belt is supposed to represent perfection, and you go from black belt, first Dan, and then you still wear a black belt, but then you become second Dan, third Dan.
Okay.
And
how many Dans do you get to? Is there a limit?
If you ever hear of a Dan higher than 10, it's probably a McDojo or some kind of weird ego project for a failed martial artist. Right. But yeah, 10th Dan is the top, but the 10th Dan is only ever held by either the founder of a style or the style's highest ranked living practitioner.
Right.
Wow.
And you can grade people up to one grade below yourself, I think. So there's a lot of 8th Dans in the world, not very many 9th Dans in the world, and not very many 10th Dans in the world. A humble 8th Dan, if he thinks he might be the last surviving practitioner of a style, or the highest surviving practitioner of a style, he probably won't ever say, no, now I'm the 10th Dan, I'm the daddy. Right. A lot of martial artists are quite kind of humble, so they won't do that. But
are you aiming for 4th Dan?
I'm aiming for it. I don't think I'm eligible yet. So I think between 3rd and 4th Dan is generally a 4-year wait, and to an extent, you get downgradings by continuing to contribute to the art.
Right.
So
okay.
So I got my 3rd Dan during lockdown from the English Karate Organisation, and they said, "Oh, well, you don't have to do a physical grading because we can't do physical gradings because we can't meet face to face." So part of me was relieved, and part of me feels a bit guilty that I didn't actually do a karate grading for it.
We should just make karate noises over. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, you can be a 3rd Dan. Yeah. I'm not sorry. That sounds disrespectful, but it's all right. Just doing it for comedy effect, John.
So I think I might be eligible for a 4th Dan next year.
Oh, right. Okay.
But
have you ever had to use it in self-defense at all in your life?
Need some wood to touch?
Yeah, this white is wood. A lot of people touch that. Yeah.
Okay. So touch wood. I have never had to use karate in anger in my life, and I would like to keep it that way.
Yeah.
One thing a lot of people probably don't realise, and it's probably best that they don't realise this, is that being a black belt in karate does not necessarily make you an amazing fighter. I think learning self-defense techniques, you kind of, it makes you fitter and stronger and more physically confident, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, if Kimbo Slice walks up behind you, you're going to be in trouble, whether you're a 3rd Dan in karate or you've never thrown a punch in your life.
You're a black belt in discipline is what you are.
Pretty much. So, a black belt does not necessarily represent perfection or enormous skill or anything. It means that you've mastered the basic techniques of your karate style. And in many ways, it's the beginning. So a lot of people have their eyes on the black belt. Once you've got a black belt, it's like, right, I can start learning some karate now, because it really isn't the end of the road. It's actually just a stop on the way. But it's a significant moment getting a black belt. but it's not time to retire. But a lot of people do. I mean, if you go up the gradings, there are, more yellow belts in the world than you can count. But at each step up the ladder, there's probably less people because people aren't committed to it. But when you get to a certain point, I suspect it probably evens out, because if you've gone as far as to get a brown belt, then maybe not.
You talk yourself out of it. Do you teach it as well?
I do teach it, yes. I at the moment I only teach one class a week. I teach a 90-minute class.
Where? At your place? Or?
That is in the Women's Institute Hall in East Farley at the moment.
Okay.
I have got a small group of committed students, one of which is my partner, and they're all green belts at the moment. So I would dearly love to have some white belts to teach again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have any information on that? How people can contact you?
Well, I have both a website and a Facebook page. But I think my website is...
And that's the spirit, yeah. Just go for it. You probably could promote another company.
Oh.
Yeah, but what do you think it is?
Sankakai.KarateMaidstone.com, I think.
Sankakai Karate.
SANKUKAI. Karate, KARATE. And then Maidstone.com.
Okay.
I would love for the hall not to be big enough anymore, so that that would be a good curse to have.
Right.
That was so powerful, that the story of your karate, and you can tell how passionate you still are, and how that's really, it has paved into your career and your life.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, without karate, it was karate that I think I got sort of to green or blue belt, and I realised that I wasn't really fit enough to do it, because karate will make you want to be fit, but karate in and of itself, I don't think that that's enough. I think you need to do quite
additional
a lot of
training.
I think you need to do additional training. So that's kind of what nudged me through the doors of the gym, and that's what kind of fueled my interest in all of those things. So, it all comes together. It all comes from karate. So, without karate, it wouldn't have happened. And, it's incredibly good for your mental health. I mean, I've struggled with mental health issues for a long time. I don't mind saying. And, it can transform your life. I mean, I was an incredibly shy child, and I had terrible social anxiety growing up, and, suffered from anxiety and depression for years. And I think the only thing that really, the only thing that gave any meaning to my life was karate. So, I mean, I had friends. I don't discount the support that friends and family gave me, but, karate was kind of like the thing that held me up.
You've got to have something for yourself. Like you say, you can have all the support, but what's going on in your head is going on in your head.
Yeah. But I mean, karate really, really helped with that. And I mean, years later, so like last year, the day before my 44th birthday, I discovered I was diagnosed with ADHD. So I looking back, it was obvious.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't invented when we were kids, though.
ADHD was something for the naughty kids who couldn't sit still, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The problem is, if you've got ADHD and you're quite clever, it's very easy to kind of cover for yourself, because you can coast for years through the school system.
Even now in schools, I think that can be the case.
Yeah. And so, I didn't know, they didn't know. My mum carries a bit of guilt because she didn't know. But the thing is, neurodivergence runs in families. The reason they didn't notice is because I was like them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And but knowing that, it that has made an enormous difference to my life. So karate got me this far. I don't know how I would have survived without it, because I self-medicated with alcohol for years just to try and control my anxiety, and went from job to job, and didn't do very well at school, and I went to a really good school. It was one of the best schools in the country when I went. I went to the Skinners, and I didn't even get an A level out of it. I did my GCSEs there. They weren't spectacular considering what I was capable of.
Right.
So I mean, this is the curse of a lot of people with ADHD. They kind of get branded as gifted kids as children because they have this hyper focus, and when they're into something, they just overachieve. But then when I lost interest or it became difficult, I didn't want to do it, and I didn't do it. So this is why I had 2 cracks at A-levels and pretty much failed both times because I just wasn't focused on it. And I've recently started taking medication for my ADHD. It's made such a difference to my life. It's incredible.
Really? So, I'll speak to you about that as well.
I know. I feel like we could have a whole other podcast on neurodivergence. That's
exactly what I was about to say, John. We've only scratched the surface with you. Bass playing, games master. We have you back because you're now my official nutritionist. And what we do is I do a couple of shorts of me being weighed by you. Weighed, that is weighed, not laid. And we'll come back again, John, and we'll touch the surface. We'll talk about the games master, and we'll talk about bass playing, and we'll talk a bit more about nutrition.
Yeah,
you happy with that? Because we definitely won't be. This would be going 3 hours, I think. If we
have we been going that long?
We've been going about an hour and 20, I'd say.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a good sort of time to wrap it up, unless you've got anything else to say. What ideal people for your Rock Hard Nutrition and your details of Rock Hard Nutrition?
Okay, ideal people. I want to help the kids who are like me. So they might be neurodivergent. They hated PE at school. They couldn't wait to leave school, so they didn't have to do PE anymore. Also looking for people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they've been left behind. They never really got into fitness. They never understood it. These could be people with sensory issues or anxiety who don't want to walk into a gym. All those people, I can help you. I'm like you. I know what your problems are, and I can help you with them. So, just give us a shout. I have a website and a Facebook page. My website is rockhardnutritionandpt.com. All one word. And I would absolutely love to hear from you. You don't have to call me. I don't like talking on the phone much either, to be fair. If you want, you can send me an email. You can send me a WhatsApp. All the details are on the website. We can have a chat. There's no massive pressure. I don't do high pressure sales tactics. I'm not going to get you in my office and start twisting your arm and saying you've got to, sign away your firstborn or anything like that. I do subscriptions, but that's because it's a good way to manage long-term goals. But it's probably not as expensive as you think it is either. I work from home, so I don't have the overheads that gyms do. So, I'm probably going to be cheaper than most other personal trainers. So, give me a call. I can help you.
You won't be lifting rusty kettlebells in the rain.
Yeah.
This is what I hear this every week.
A lot of people now. This is because of a common misunderstanding. So people have a lot of people have a mental image of a personal trainer being the
Rocky's manager.
Yeah, outdoors, blowing a whistle, shouting,
chasing chickens,
making people do push-ups in muddy fields and things like that. And that's boot camp. That's not necessarily PT. So some PTs do boot camp, but that is not the be-all and end-all of PT. I don't like outdoor training either. We can train in a nice, warm, comfortable private studio where no one will see you sweating but me, but I don't care. So, it's all good. You'll be, you'll be fine. You'll be comfortable.
Well looked after, I think.
You'll be well looked after. So you can bring a friend with you if you want. You can bring a chaperone. It's all good. The only limitation is how much room there is in the physical room. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, then I'd love to hear from you.
Perfect. What I love, and he should be a voiceover guy as well, shouldn't he? He's got that voice, isn't it? I could listen.
I mean,
John.
You do everything else. So yeah, you should definitely do the soundover.
I could honestly listen to you. I was going to say all night, but that sounds a bit weird. But I could listen to you all day long, John. You've got that voice. That's
reassuring.
Yeah.
Good reassuring voice.
Thank you very much.
Oh well, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast.
Oh, I did.
And you felt more comfortable than you was anticipating.
Oh, I was so nervous.
Was you?
Yeah.
It's easy, isn't it?
It's all right once you get going.
And you have to come back.
I would love to. That would be awesome.
And we'll do some little short videos of my progress, and you'll be in that, and a little bit of publicity for you as well. So that's good,
it's got to be done.
Okay, if you want to advertise on the Cherrywood podcast, what did I have to do? I know you wouldn't know. So just contact us on cherrywoodpro.com/podcast, and all the information's on there. Got any questions? If you want to be on the show, or come to the same web address that I just said, which I can no longer remember, even though I've just said it.
Or any other backup Rachels.
Any other, yeah.
Any that can get closer to Rachel Burridge than Rachel Kerridge, I think.
That's not
should contact
possible.
you.
Unless I marry another Rachel, which is possible. Okay. Thank you very much. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers. This podcast has been brought to you by Snug Dubs Camper Van Hire.
Roam the world, park anywhere.
That's snugdubs.co.uk.